Krana Rookz Eastman is a renowned figure in the music industry and beyond, celebrated for her dynamic 5-time award-winning career spanning various roles from an executive and entrepreneur to a community leader and author. As the founder of Sandbox Studios, Eastman cultivated a vital hub for urban music development in Toronto, providing a platform for both established and emerging artists. Her work has earned recognition from global brands like Nike, Google, Home Depot, and so many more. With an impressive media footprint, Rookz has been featured in the Toronto Star, Globe and Mail, Elle Magazine, and so many other. You can see her press. Oh, there's a link, so it says here, but maybe we'll put it, I don't know, in an email or something we'll send out afterwards for promotion, reinforcing her influential presence across industries. Beyond her music and in entrepreneurial, I'm French, I should be able to say that, endeavors, Rookz embodies a holistic approach to community and personal development. She serves as a lead pastor at Gather, a spiritual, non-religious church focused on inclusive and healing conversations about faith and self-acceptance. Her leadership in this space demonstrates a commitment to nurturing wholeness in individuals, especially those feeling disconnected or marginalized. So, without further ado, Pastor Rookz.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. How's everybody doing this morning? Everyone's doing good? How's everybody doing this morning? Because no one's doing worse than me with my one leg right now. I just want to show everybody the boot, the commitment to the work this morning. It's a real honor for me to be here. Yeah, I actually was sleeping just 2 hours ago. I actually have service at my church at 2 p.m. and I got a call. 8:15. I went to sleep. That's my executive pastor right there, Tanisha. I went to sleep last night at like 4 a.m. We were up talking, plotting. We're like, you know what? Tomorrow at church, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. We were really excited. I'm like, I'm so glad we didn't have church till 2 because I'm going to sleep in. I was so excited. So, you know, I'm calculating. I'm like, okay, 4, 5, 6. I'm like, hey, Siri, set the alarm for 9 because I set it for 9 so I can sleep in till 12, right? You don't sleep until you've slept in. That's my philosophy. So I'm like, all right, Siri, set the alarm for 9. I got a call at 8:15 this morning. I look at my phone. It's David Lewis. There we go. Siri's doing her job. I get a call. It's David Lewis Pert, and I'm like, it's 8:15. You know, you do the rollover. I'm like, it's 8:15. I could call him later. And it rings again, and I'm like, why would anyone call anyone on Sunday at 8:15, right? I'm like, maybe he's outside, something's going on. It rings again, and something in my spirit says, answer the phone. So I answer the call, and he says, Kiana, do you have service today? Are you in Canada? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Canada, I have service today. He's like, I'm thinking he's gonna come. I'm really excited. I'm like, all right, amazing. David's coming to church. He's actually, I'm supposed to be speaking somewhere. Can you go there? I'm like, it's 8:16. You know, 1 minute has gone by, and I have this moment, which is exactly what I'm speaking about today. Today, I'm speaking about answering the call. I have this moment where I'm like, I'm too tired. This wasn't in my plan. I'm supposed to sleep until 12. I live in Hamilton. It's gonna take me over an hour to get there. It's in an hour. I need to bathe. Like, all these questions come up. And my spirit says, say yes. So I'm like, okay, David, I got you. He's like, Kiana, are you sure? You know when people call, they're like, ask you something, but they don't know. He's like, are you sure you can do it? I'm like, yeah, I got you. So, you know, Tanisha had spent the night. I'm like, Tanisha, let's go, no baths. Like, we're going smelly, I don't care. You know, because we went to sleep late. I was like, well, don't worry, girl, we'll bathe in the morning. I'm like, we're going to miss that bath again. We're doing a real Bridgerton vibe over here. But, you know, this is such a special moment for me right now to stand here because you guys heard my bio. I'm a well-decorated executive, and about 2 years ago, I hate using the word COVID. During the pandemic, I had this moment where I asked myself, what do I really love to do? And I realized I spent most of my life trying to do this in a different way. You know, I've been a public speaker. I've built businesses. You know, people come into my business. They're trying to have a restaurant, for example, right now where we sell Jamaican patties. They come in for a patty. I'm like, but how are you? How are you doing today? And like trying to find all these ways to fit in my truest desire of being committed and connected to cultivating not only my own human development, but humans around me. And this morning when I said yes, there was this real thought that I had that said, what if I didn't answer that call? And it sat in me so much that the entire time I was coming here, you know, usually anyone who knows me knows I just speak off the top of my head. Like I have this iPad here like I'm actually reading something, but it's just blank, you know. I just see pastors do it all the time. I'm like, glory to God. Put my iPad down. But you know, I thought about it the whole way here. Like, what if I didn't answer that call? What if I didn't answer that call? And one of the things that constantly get brought up when I'm in my own space and I'm with my own tribe and my own congregation is, how do we know when to do something? Like, how do you know in yourself, like, when should you do this? Like, you know, you see somebody. Yesterday we were driving and I'm running late to go to an event, and I saw two young men carrying what was it, mattresses on their head. And first of all, I was very impressed. One guy, 2 mattresses. The other guy was just talking to him. I'm like, come on, friend, do something. But that's another conversation. I see him, and I'm like, I'm running late. I'm looking at my watch. I'm looking at him. And I say, pull over. And I get out. I hop out with my leg. And, you know, all my stuff falls out the car. And I'm like, put the mattress in my trunk. And I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, just up the road. And, like, there was this moment in that moment where I had that feeling. Like, it built up, it boiled up, and I was like, I have to do this thing now. And there's so many times in our spirit, in ourselves, we are so connected to the, you know, the divine, that we are all like a part. I always say we're like all granular versions of the divine, that when you get that thing, it is an instruction. It is telling you what to do in the now. We serve like a now presence. And so one of the greatest things that I can ever leave anywhere I go is, can you hear that? Do you have enough clairvoyance to hear the voice of this universe, of the entire energy that is speaking to you? And are you willing to activate on that energy now? One of the questions that always gets asked to me is, but how do I know it's not for tomorrow? You didn't hear it tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't even exist. Tomorrow is a thing. Whatever happened before doesn't exist, but right now exists. And so one of the things I really wanted to, like, I was thinking about for my own self, like, you know, coming into this space, if you do go to my press link, which I suggest you do, I'm kidding, but if you do check out my website, like, the last time I was really in Toronto speaking, I think the last time I spoke in person in Toronto was I opened up for Barack Obama when we brought him here in 2020 at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. And you know, I've spoken in front of 6,000 people. I've spoken everywhere. I've spoken all over the world at some of the most prestigious Ivy League schools, to, you know, the TD building, and speaking to all their executive leaders. And the idea of speaking to people about the conversation they're having in their head is actually one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, because it requires me to be vulnerable, and it requires me to be a part of your vulnerable self. And walking into becoming a pastor, which is like a name that I'm like still wrestling with, but walking into a place where I'm like, all right, I'm going to dedicate my life and what I'm doing to the call that I hear now, meant that I had to also sacrifice a lot of stuff. You know, like Grammy week's happening, my friends are like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm at my church with 3 people. It's awesome, it's going great, you know? They're like, we're doing this, we're doing that. I'm like, wonderful for you, you know? Like being able to separate myself from what I didn't hear, because I would be in those spaces a lot, and I would hear, why are you here? Why are you doing this? And a lot of those answers were for what other people expected of me. We all have something inside of us that we expect of ourselves. And I think that that is the conversation that we are constantly having with the divine, is that we know inside of ourselves what we are to be doing and who we are to be. You know, I saw an elephant give birth. Like, you know, the baby elephant, first of all, the baby falls really, really hard. So, you know, like there's this moment of like, is it gonna make it? And it kind of like wobbles around and it stands up. I'm really into nature documentaries. And like immediately it's an elephant. Like, it's the most bizarre thing. Like, I don't, does anyone here watch nature doc? It's like immediately an elephant. It's like, okay, let's go get some trees. Just immediately. And it's just the most profound thing that, like, animals have this capacity to be like, oh, I know what I'm supposed to do. And we spend our entire lives assuming that we're the greatest things on the planet. Like, I don't know who I am, an existential crisis. I'm 50 years old. What am I going to do now? I'm 25. Elephants are like, just eat leaves. You know, like, just do this. And I have this, like, moment where I'm watching this elephant 1 day old know what it's going to be and do for the rest of its life because it trusts the blueprint that it was born with. You never see elephants be like, look at the cheetah. Let me just try that for a little bit. Let me just really try to run for a little bit. We see everything else in existence kind of like surrender to its design. And so one of the greatest things that I'm trying to figure out in my own life is how do I surrender to my design? When I was in school, when I was younger, I was always in the principal's office. You know, the teacher would say something, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. Office. I'm like, okay. You know, the teacher would say something else, and I'd ask a question to challenge the thought. Office. I spent a lot of time in the office for questioning what I was told, but I was just not in my right environment. Once I became an executive or a consultant, I got paid to do the exact same thing that sent me to the office. Right? Like, I wish those teachers could see me now with my iPad up here, being a pastor. Okay, but you know, like, it's another question of, are you in the right environment so that you can be the design that you are? It's actually quite interesting because I'm here, and I was on the website before I came here, and I was reading about what, like, you know, CSL stands for and like the ethos and like everything, and I was like, man, I really connect with this. And I said to Tanisha, I said, it's crazy that I've been invited to speak in a lot of places, like Pentecostal churches, Baptist churches, apostolic churches, like super religious places, and then super non-religious places. And that every one of us is actually looking for the exact same thing. Validation of our design. Validation of the thing that we know is inside of us already. A lot of us have known for our entire lives, okay, I'm supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do that, or I'm supposed to be here. And it's not necessarily a job, but it's those moments in between where, like, you see somebody and you're like, I'm supposed to talk to that person. Do we have enough faith in the divine that we are connected enough to it that there's a reason that we hear that? And to trust yourself in the now to do the thing that you hear. The thing I want to leave today is, like, answer the call. Can you answer the call? At my church, we talk to each other, so it's like, right now I want to be like, when's the last thing you heard? But I don't know if anybody on Zoom will be able to hear you. But for the people on Zoom as well, like, what are the things that you're hearing inside of you? Take a moment today, for real, write them down. There are a lot of things we've heard inside of us for our entire lives. I was at a dinner yesterday. Somebody was like, oh yeah, Rookz is a pastor now. And I was like, yes, something like that. If you'd like to give us your tithes, I'm always a pastor. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. But, you know, like, I was telling them, like, yeah, I'm a pastor. They're like, how long? I'm like, I don't know. I think I got ordained a couple years ago. Like, you've never told anybody? I'm like, you know, it's kind of something that I myself have been running from for a long time because it didn't seem to make sense to me. I'm like, okay, I'm super queer looking. Well, I'm queer, but I'm queer looking as well, right? Like, you know, nobody's going to miss it. You know, my grandmother, God bless her heart, I'm Jamaican. And I remember when I got ordained, she was like, but how? I'm like, Grandma, what do you mean? She's like, how did you become a pastor? Like, how? I'm like, are you asking if I'm straight now? Because the answer is no. You know, like, her mind can't even, she's like in a whirlwind of like, they're just giving those out now? Like, you know? But, you know, like, loves me so much, but like has like this real social construct. But even for myself, I live within the social construct. Even for me, like, it's hard for me to understand and to go out into the world and say, like, yeah, I'm a pastor, because I know the conversation that comes next, right? Even from people who love me dearly, because I've put myself in a box. As an executive, I'm like, I'm going to leave this job to go, like, talk to people. I'm not going to get, the number one thing that even I struggled with, and I think it's a part of the human experience, was like, how do I get paid, though? You know, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, this is cool, but how do I get paid? Like, you know? And trying to figure all of those things out. But the greatest thing I figured out was, like, if in every moment I answer the call, like the random thing that I feel, it just leads up to the things that we become. Like we're so focused on planning. I was thinking about it on my way here. I had a thought that I'm a sleep-in person. Who's a sleep-in person? There you go. Shout out my sleeping people. Okay, there we go. But there are people who are the planners. Okay, there can't be two sleeping people and one planner. What are the rest of y'all? You just go with the flow. Okay, cool. So the planners are like, my schedule's like this. I'm gonna make sure I do this. I have like 30 minutes for free time. But I thought about like being a sleeping person, which I am, which like kind of just go with the flow. Like I think if I had a surfboard, people would understand me more. You know, I'd just be like really clear that I'm not gonna be there on time. But you know, even the planners miss the opportunity to answer the call because it's not a part of the plan. Right? So we have this idea that the plan is gonna help us get to the place. But it's really like, do we have the space within ourselves to just exist in the divine? To be moved by the divine, to walk with the divine, to be led by the divine. You know, as we all sit here today, like every time I have church on Sunday or service or whatever we call it, I'm always asking myself, like, why did people show up here? It's because we all need each other to understand ourselves, right? And so answering the call isn't necessarily something huge like give up your six-figure career to figure out still how to get paid as a pastor. I'm not encouraging that. But, you know, I guess it's really like moment to moment to moment, are you willing to be used? You know, I grew up in a very religious household, and there was like this song that they'd always sing. I grew up in an apostolic church, and they'd always sing, Lord, let me not even sing because Genevieve, are you? But it's like, Lord, I'm available to use. You good know that song? My will I give to you. And like those words, like we have these ideas that like we have our own will, but are we really willing to like set your will aside, set your intention aside to be a vessel to be used? If I go anywhere and I talk about anything and I don't encourage people to get out of their own way, I don't encourage myself to get out of my own way to become the thing that I was already born to be, to exist in my queer identity as a person trying to speak about spirituality or understand spirituality myself, as a, you know, the youngest person in the boardroom, as the anomaly in a lot of spaces that creates the conversation. If I'm not willing to exist within myself, within my whole purpose, moment to moment to moment, I'm gonna miss the call. And so what I really encourage you to do today is to answer it, to take like a moment for real right now, and like really, actually, let's do that for like a moment. Really deeply think about what's been speaking to you, what you've been hearing. We're gonna take like 15 seconds to do that. Let's be still. Whatever that was, whatever you heard, I'm going to encourage you to trust that if you heard it, that the universe has already created every opportunity for it to happen. Like that trust, that faith, that thing, you have to believe that everything is designed, just like the elephant. The elephant isn't born in the desert and then has to go find leaves and trees. The elephant is born in the environment that the universe knows will help the elephant be fruitful. The environment you were born in, chaotic, peaceful, dysfunctional, whatever it is, that is a part of the design as well. And so some of the things that we grapple with, the tensions of life, of a reality, those tensions are a part of the design as well. If we surrender our ability to exist in them and to understand ourselves in them. It's really interesting, like, as I wrap up, you know, on the way here, there's a reason I have church at 2 p.m. The reason I have church at 2 p.m. is because I'm committed to going to other churches, all different kinds of churches, all different denominations. We read at Alt Gather, which is my church, we read from every text, I tell them that Harry Potter is just as profound to me. It really is, you know, like, Harry Potter to the Quran, all the books, all the texts, all of it is divine. It is all a part of us understanding our consciousness better. And the more pixels and the more things that we can put together to help us understand our own design is beneficial to everyone else around you. And so, as we go through the day today, as we go through our week, I always leave my tribe with an affirmation that allows us to know that we are a part of something greater. And I think that what I want to leave you with is that I want you to say all week, I am answering the call. I am answering the call. I have answered the call. So that everything that needs to line up so that it can support the call, support the thing inside of you, that it is drawn to you. We are energy, and we draw things to us. And if we don't believe in the things that we manifest here, then they won't manifest in reality. Church is at 2 p.m. because we go to other churches. But more importantly, I said a year ago, you know what? I don't think I'm doing anything other than recreating church in the way that I've always understood it if I don't get out and go to other churches every Sunday. Because I also have to learn. I also have to listen. I also have to be fed, right? And so even being able to do this right now and then being able to leave and go have all gather, that's all a part of what I heard. And so even in your existence, and David not being able to attend today, and first of all, my apologies for not honoring and thanking Reverend Barbara for having me here when I first started speaking. But all of it is a part of the divine coming together to do exactly what you're called to do. And so as you go out into the world today, just know that that you are divine, that you're a part of the entire thing that makes this whole thing move. At Alt Gather, our goal is to become whole and not holy, to become the most whole version of ourselves, all of it coming together so that we can actually participate in the grand design, the design greater than anything I could ever think of or government could ever think of. But it's actually inside of all of us that we know that harmony is available to us, that abundance is available to us, that peace is available to us. But it comes from us having abundance, peace, and harmony within ourselves. So don't go against who you are. Don't go against what you hear. Don't go against what you feel, because that inner tension leads to outer tension. Cool? All right, so I think that's me for the morning. I'm from I grew up I'm Jamaican, first of all. Church is like 6 hours. So when I was like, do you think I'll be able to leave before the sun's down? I got to get back to Hamilton. So I'm like, this is quick, this is in and out. But I really do, I want everybody today to meet somebody else. The reason that we're all sitting in this room is because there's somebody else that's connected to our purpose, connected to our design. So thank you so much for having me here. My moniker is Create Fate. You are creating the life that you live. You're creating the experience that you have, good or bad. The hardest part of the hardest part of my understanding now is that good or bad, I created it. Good or bad. Whatever bad is, whatever good is, but my experience is designed by me. So I pray and I leave the intention with you that you design the experience you were designed for. Amen.